Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. Got another Master Duel video for you. So, yesterday we covered our Snake Eyes combo guide. So if you're interested in learning the lines for this deck, definitely check that video out linked in the description below. Because this is going to be the deck profile, so I'm mostly going to be talking about the build rather than the deck as a whole. And then we'll cover some specific gameplay, but yeah, in this video, like I said, I'm not going to be stopping specifically to explain the combo lines in detail. You can check out my combo guide linked in the description below for more information about that. So, Snake Eyes, when this archetype was announced, or leaked rather, I didn't really think that it was going to have that much of an impact because I thought we were only getting the first wave of support. Then it turns out we got Poplar as well. And I, like many people I think, because Poplar only just came out in the TCG pretty much the same time it came out in Master Duel, wasn't really sure what this deck looked like with exactly the first wave of support, plus I think Poplar and one of the spells makes up the second wave, but we've seen Snake Eyes be used in both the TCG and OCG in combination with Fire King, right? So without the rest of the Fire King support, particularly the level 1 that makes, of course, the deck really, really good with original Sinful Spoils, but without that, it was kind of hard to know if pure Snake Eyes, like how good it was going to be. But now that I've had a chance to actually like sit down and play a few games with it and really learn all the combo lines, I think this deck is really, really solid. So, as far as how good I think it is tier-wise right now, I think it's probably either lower tier 1 or upper tier 2 is my first inclination. I've seen some people say, like, this deck is tier 0! I don't think it's that good. Now, when we get Fire Kings, that might end up being a different story. But for the time being, pure Snake Eyes right now, I do not believe is a tier 0 deck. The main reason I would even call it tier 2 is because this deck's end board, while good, don't get me wrong, does feel like it lacks the punch that a lot of other decks end boards in the current meta have. That said, Snake Eyes does have the consistency factor going for it. This deck is very consistent, and it's not hard to play through Disruption with this deck at all. So, again, as we discussed in the combo guide yesterday, the main kind of end board you're usually looking to set up is your Amphibious Swarm Ship, Amblo Whale on the field with the Promethean Princess set up in the graveyard, and on top of that, your Snake Eyes Flamberge Dragon in play. Usually, in addition to that, you either have Formula Synchron and or IP Masquerena in addition to Synchro or Link with the Flamberge Dragon. That will allow you to go into even further disruption in the form of either Baron or Nightmare Unicorn, but also that'll proc the Flamberge Dragon F to bring back multiple level 1 Snake Eyes. So, that line is advantage, it's disruption, it's kind of everything all rolled into one, which is pretty neat. But like I said, that's not quite as explosive as a lot of other decks and boards, right? Particularly you think about like Super Heavy Samurai and Monadium putting out like multiple negates into huge bodies. So I don't know, that's the only reason why I think I say Snake Eyes might be tier 2, but again, I think it might also just be on the lower end of tier 1. I mean, this deck is really solid. About the current build here. So, a few of the texts I've actually taken from Trishula, who has been experimenting with the deck, or started experimenting with it like pretty much right when it came out. Particularly the Magician Souls plus Where Art Thou. I kind of lifted those from his build, and they've been pretty good. Particularly the Magician Souls, I very, very much like. You can special this card by sending the Diabell Star from your deck to the graveyard, and from there, it's not only further materials, but also you can send spell and trap cards from your hand or field to the graveyard to draw cards, including the Snake Eyes monsters that are spell and trap cards that are in your spell and trap card zone. So, there's potential to gain some advantage off of that, and to also cycle some cards and get some extra extension. I really like that. I really like the Magician Souls in here. I will say Where Art Thou is not bad, but I've kind of been considering Small World instead. The thing about Where Art Thou is that it's really good for grabbing exactly Poplar or Magician Souls, but it's also really not hard to have Poplar anyway, right? If you're going for your main combo lines, especially if you already control a level 1 monster. Where Art Thou is kind of our like budget Bonfire until we get that card in Master Duel. Bonfire being able to add just any level 4 or lower Pyro monster is obviously insanely good with Poplar. The main thing I don't like about Where Art Thou, and this is true not only of Snake Eyes, but just in general, like, I've seen people say, kind of generally speaking, like, oh, we don't have Bonfire yet, but you can use Where Art Thou to search out Poplar. The thing is, though, like, if you already control a level 1 monster, you probably don't need to search out the Poplar to make your plays. Whereas if you had something like Small World, in this deck in particular, now I'm talking about this specifically, if you like are using something like Small World, for example, right, then you could potentially search out a play when you don't have one. It's just, I don't find there's a lot of situations where I think the Where Art Thou is like winning the game or like turning the game around for me, right? Like a lot of the times I do end up using it, it's just like to add a Magician Souls and as an extender, which is nice, but you don't really need. Thinking about Small World, I'm pretty sure Ash Blossom bridges like pretty much everything as far as like Snake Eyes monsters go. And I think Magician Soul is a bridge too, right? It's level 1, 0 attack and defense dark spellcaster. And yeah, none of the Snake Eyes monsters have 0 attack or... Oh no, Birch does. So you can't bridge Birch with Magician Souls, but you could bridge like Ash, Oak, Poplar. That should still work. Not Droll and Lockbird, because that's also 0 attack and defense and it's a spellcaster, but... and again, if not Magician Souls, then Ash Blossom is definitely a bridge for, again, everything besides Birch. So, yeah, I do think there's merit to trying Small World, possibly instead of Where Art Thou. Again, I don't think Where Art Thou Search Poplar is something that realistically ever comes up. Again, all the times I've used it were for Magician Souls, which is nice, but not necessary. So, let's see here. What else would I consider... possibly changing about the build now that I have a little bit of experience with it. I'd probably just play a third Droll. Droll's definitely very, very good, especially, you know, against a lot of the stuff moving forward now that the meta has shifted. This deck can actually play pretty decently around Droll. It's a little hand-dependent sometimes, but it's definitely not that difficult by any means. A couple of ratio things I wanted to talk about, because especially when it comes to newer URs, I'm sure people are going to ask, what all exactly do you need to play this deck? So, Diabellstar, I do think you need 3 as well as 3 Wanted. You need 3 Wanted in anything that plays Diabellstar, so you should already have a playset of this if you're playing the Sinful package. Diabellstar, you could get away with 2, but this card is a starter for this deck, so I really like having a full playset. I think having 3 is fairly important, but you could definitely get away with 2. Original Sinful Spoils, you can absolutely play 1. The second copy hasn't come up for me yet, but I don't think it's bad to have a second copy. That said, if you've only got 1, you're totally fine only playing 1 copy of this card. I think the same is true of Snake Eyes Flamberge Dragon. I will say that having the second copy does enable your 2-card combo line that goes into the Boar Load. Also, having the second copy to place into the Spell Trap zone with the Divine Temple is really good Nibiru insurance, right? Because if you get nibbed, then the Divine Temple will allow you to special summon the Flamberge Dragon out from your Spell Trap zone. So, Flamberge Dragon is also really good against nib in general, because if it's on the board at all and you get nibbed, then you just get to bring back 2 of your Snake Eyes monsters. So, this card ends up being just pretty good in general. You only need 1 copy, though. You do not need a second copy. I don't even know if a second copy is optimal. Certainly for Snake Eyes Fire King in the future, you'll only need 1. For pure Snake Eyes right now, I suspect 2 is probably optimal. But that said, for future proofing, you definitely only need the 1. So you could definitely get away with 1. Let's see, Poplar. You could get away with 1 Poplar, but I think 2 is just optimal. I actually own a full playset 3, and I'm not even playing the third one, so don't feel like you need 3 of this card. I think 2 is optimal, but I think it's much like the Diabellstar, how like Diabellstar is like 3 is super optimal, 2 you could do, but definitely do 3. Poplar, I would say the same, except for you could do 1 Poplar, but I think you should be playing 2. Magician Souls, if you don't have the structure deck, then you don't have to play this card. But as I've touched on before, I think it's a really, really solid extender. So, as far as the extra deck goes, let's see. Heat Soul is really, really niche. It hasn't come up for me yet, but I can definitely see myself taking this out. Heat Leo, or not Heat Leo, Sunlight Wolf also hasn't really come up for me. I could see myself dropping that too. Although, to be fair, the Sunlight Wolf does allow you to... Like, if you go into the Sunlight Wolf, then not only does that make Heat Soul easier to make, but it also gives you something to bring back with the Whale if you have the Promethean Princess in play. Either that or Hita. But Relinquish Anima, I could see myself trying, but it hasn't really come up. Link Kuriboh, you do need for the combo lines, so that Link one is very important. Selene is also very important. You don't technically need Selene, but... you know, we've already got the DML Star, which we're always playing. And in addition to that, we're playing Magician Souls, so it's definitely optimal to play Selene in general, but especially in this build, I think. So, other extra deck options, you could play Assemble Nightingale into Zeus line if you wanted to. I haven't really come across a situation where I felt like I needed that. But that doesn't mean those situations don't exist. I also have only played a handful of games with this deck so far, but I really like this deck. I think it is definitely going to be one of my new favorites moving forward, and I will definitely keep experimenting with not only pure Snake Eyes, but some kind of pile variants as well. So, okay, that's going to do it for talking about the list. I'm going to break it down card by card, and then we'll look at some games. For this list, we're on 2 Duel Knockbird, 1 Jet Synchron, 2 Magician Souls, 3 Snake Eye Ash, 2 Snake Eye Oak, 1 Snake Eye Birch, 2 Snake Eyes Poplar, 3 Maxi, 3 Ash Blossom and a Joyous Spring, 3 DML Star, the Black Witch. We've got 2 Snake Eyes Flamberge Dragon, 1 Nibiru, the Primal Being, 1 1-for-1, 3 Where Art Thou, 2 Original Sinful Spoils Snake Eye, 1 Divine Temple of the Snake Eye, 2 Called by the Grave, 1 Cross-Out Designator, 3 Wanted, Seeker of Sinful Spoils, and finally 2 Infinite Impermanents, and that'll be our main deck. For the extra deck, we're on 1 Formula Synchron, 1 Borreload Savage Dragon, 1 Baron de Fleur, 1 Link Kuriboh, 1 Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf, 1 Hita, the Fire Charmer, Ablaze, 1 IP Masquerena, 1 Dark the Dark Charmer Gloomy, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 Selene, Queen of the Master Magicians, 1 Decode Talker Heat Soul, 1 Promethean Princess, Bestower of Flames, 1 Amphibious Swarmship Ambler Whale, 1 Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess, and then finally 1 Access Code Talker. There is our list. Now let's go ahead and see these games. Okay, first duel is going to be against Zodiac Kashtira. Played against a lot of Kashtira in this run. Oh, nice. That was actually really quick. They updated the untapped thing with the images. That's cool. If you do want to copy this deck, the deck code is going to be available in the description below. And if you have the Untapped Companion, then you can just copy my deck right there. Untapped free download link is also going to be in the description below. If you feel like clicking it, it does help support the channel. But anyway, I'm going to start by normal summoning the Snake Eyes Ash here, going for the Poplar F. After adding that, I get to add the Divine Temple. I'm just going for the Link line at this point. Again, if you are interested in learning the lines more in depth, in detail, then my combo guide, also available in the description below. Now here I did also open both Magician Souls and Original Sinful Spoil Snake Eye. I was trying to figure out if I could use the Snake Eye in any meaningful way here. I don't know this list particularly, or this list. I don't know this deck's combo lines like super duper well just yet, so I mostly stuck to the original line. And also, I really don't think Original Sinful Spoils would have done too much for me here. I was thinking about using it to pull out the Jet Synchron, but the problem is I also want to draw a couple of cards off the Magician Souls. Actually, in hindsight, I could have set up the Formula Synchron plus the Link line here. And I think I should have just done that, because what I ended up doing here in a little bit is I ended up activating Magician Souls to draw 2 cards, and I really could have just drawn 1. Actually, especially because I would have drawn a card off the Formula Synchron anyway, so I probably could have done it that way. In fact, I think I probably should have done it that way. The Divine Temple plus Flamberge in the Spell Trap Zone, the extra one, is mostly just Nibiru insurance, and I'm pretty confident that they don't have a Nib, so that's the main reason why I was comfortable giving them up to draw a couple of cards off the Magician Souls there. Yeah, and I also have this random Snake Eye Ash left over. I definitely should have drawn 1 less card and summoned a Jet Synchron and had Formula Synchron out on this board as well. That definitely would have been better, but it ultimately doesn't matter too much, because we're going to get even lead. I probably would have gone into Baron, though, with the Formula Synchron, though, to be fair. And I could have had the Omni negate for it. Yeah, that actually would have super mattered here. Huh. So I think that would have been the better line. It's actually one of the main reasons why I was interested in looking back at these replays. Not only, of course, for the YouTube video here, but also, especially when I'm first learning a deck like this, I really like to save replays of both games that went really well and went really wrong. This being a game that was pretty close, but, well, we'll see the result here in a little bit, but, just to make sure that I didn't miss anything. Here, even in the actual game itself, like I said, I was really thinking about how to use this original sin here, but I actually get pretty lucky in that my opponent doesn't do anything really majorly threatening here. They're going to take my princess with the big eye, but they don't seem to have any kind of a follow-up. They activate Tiger Mortar, and then just pass back to me. Yeah, I'm a little surprised they didn't go for a UDF here. Or, I think that going for the... Especially given that they have access to Fenrir in deck still, right? Yeah, I don't know why they didn't just make the Shangri-Ira. They could have pulled Fenrir from the deck, and that would have really messed me up, even if they didn't go for F-Zero. But, yeah, as soon as I start to pick up my next combo line with the Snake Eyes Ash, they're just going to go ahead and concede. So, I feel like, given the plays that I did make, my opponent probably should have had me here, honestly. But, like I said, if I had actually used that original sinful spoil Snake Eye to summon out Jet Synchron, I could have ended my board with a Formula Synchron 2 instead of drawing a card off Magician Souls. And then I could have gone into Baron, which would have stopped the evenly, and I would have had more of a full board. So, okay, I think that was definitely the way to do it. But in any case, let's go ahead and take a look at the next duel here. Another Cashier opponent. Like I said, I faced quite a few cash decks early on in my playtest session with this deck. This one not on Zodiac. It is just a, I guess, pure cash deck. Anyway, we're going to go first here, yet again. Opening Diabellstar, which is a combo line, so that's definitely good. I'm going to get rid of the nib here. Love to see this, actually, the Ash Blossom call by Imperm alongside by my combos here. They're going to maxi, but thankfully we have the Ash Blossom, so that isn't going to be too much of a problem here. I don't know, this deck, I haven't played under maxi or like tried to with this deck yet, so I feel like though it's kind of hard for this deck to have maxi lines. Anyway, we have the call by, like I said here, in addition to the Ash Blossom, so the opponent's maxi Ash is not going to be doing anything to us here. Love to see it. This is like an ideal turn one hand. Alright, we're going to use the Ash to add the Poplar, and we're just going to go for the Link line here. I do like going for the Link line, I think, a little bit better than the Synchro line, because, as mentioned earlier, the Divine Temple setting up the Flamberge there is some nice Nibiru insurance. Well, and of course, Flamberge Dragon itself is also Nibiru insurance, so... Getting to play most of your combo line with Nib insurance is always nice. Always nice. I also like the Divine Temple for the attack boosting effect as well. That has actually come up. This might even be the game where... No, this isn't the game where it comes up, but... I've had moments. I've had moments where the attack boost like super duper matters. Making your little Snake Eye monsters actually, like, decent threats in terms of, like, battling into stuff. Ah, love that Royal Flamberge Dragon. I'm really glad I pulled that. Alright. Yep, here is the Whale. We're gonna set the Imperm and just pass over to them. So, pretty standard one-card combo line here with the Diabellstar. During their draw phase, I'll pull out the IP Masquerena just to have it on the field going into the main phase. Opponent's going to Rhoda for the Kashira Rise Heart. Normal summoning Rise Heart. I'm going to activate the Divine Temple when the Rise Heart gets summoned and just put an extra Snake Eyes on the field. Rise Heart's going to activate, and I thought about this for a little bit, and I ultimately did decide to Imperm. This is an interaction I've also had to think about before in the past when playing against Kashira. If they start by normal summoning Rise Heart and activating the effect, and you have like an Imperm or a Veiler, I think I do like using it, because although it banishes the card, which you're probably likely just going to slam down a Birth here anyway, I think this still stops a good amount of their rank 7 plays. In particular, it does make it a little bit difficult to go into like the Arise Heart, right? Or just rank 7s in general. So you could hedge and wait for the rank 7 and imperm that, but I think imperming the Rise Heart also stops like a good amount of plays here too. Yeah, they're just going to move straight to battle. I'm actually going to let them battle over the IP because my target is Nightmare Unicorn, and I don't have a card to discard, so I definitely value having my Snake Eyes Flamberge Dragon in play rather than necessarily the Unicorn without a card to discard. Yeah, when they use Birth to bring back their Cashier Unicorn, that one, I'm just going to use Promethean Princess to get rid of it here. I'm not even going to mess with it. I don't know why my whale isn't proccing. Like, oh, I just don't have right, I figured this out actually after the fact. So, if you're ever wondering why your whale effect isn't proccing to bring back a Link 3 or lower monster, it's because you have Promethean Princess in play and you can only special summon fire. So, that's why I couldn't get back the IP or the Link Revo here. I kept wondering that during the actual games, and it's like, oh yeah, the Promethean Princess, right, of course. Opponent's going into Hita. Definitely expect to see that in a lot more extra decks moving forward. And also, it's definitely worth considering teching in extra decks where you might not be normally playing it moving forward, too. But yeah, it's going to be super easy for me to find lethal here. I really just need to climb into access code. In order to do that, I'm going to have to make my own Hita using the Promethean Princess just to make sure I can special summon non-fire monsters again. Poplar puts itself in the spell trap zone. I can send it for the original Sin. Special summon the Oak F. I'll go ahead and bring back Ash. But it's going to chain the Birth F. That's fine. I don't actually need this revive anyway, so this does not matter at all to me. I already have everything to access code OTK with the Flamberge Dragon here, so I'm just going to make the Nightmare Unicorn, activate that effect to put my Amphibious Whale back in the extra. Link off one of my 2 Flamberge Dragons with the Nightmare Unicorn to summon the access code. Of course, because I used the Link 3, this will be at 5,300, and 5,300 plus 3,000 will, in fact, end up being enough to drop my opponent from 8k to 0, being 8,300. Math, it's fun. Oh yeah, and then I also have the Snake Eyes Flamberge Dragon effect, so I get to bring back a couple of Oaks and just casually represent an extra 4k damage on the board. So even if I didn't have the extra Snake Eyes Flamberge Dragon here, I would still be able to OTK. And that is one of the reasons why I do. This was the game where the Divine Temple. So the attack boost didn't actually end up coming up, but it could have very easily if you're only playing one Flamberge Dragon or if you only had access to one. I had the extra one here, so I was fine. But yeah, this is where the field spell can really shine. Is helping you OTK in situations like that. So we have a couple more duels to check out. Let's go ahead and look at the next one here. Alright, so this is pretty interesting. This opponent is on Prediction Princess, which I've heard talk of some plays you can make with this deck, but I think this might be... No, I think I have actually played against this deck at least once before. I feel like I have anyway. But anyway, I'm mainly hoping that they don't start flipping up their guard dog more than anything else. Here, we're going to have our Poplar get impermed, and that's definitely a little rough. Even though we do have the Magician's Souls in hand, it's not really feasible for me to make... I don't think any other plays with that. Yeah, I'm just going to link Poplar into Link Rebo. That'll allow me to put the Poplar into the Spell Trap Zone. And you know what? If nothing else, we can just send the DML Star, and... oh yeah, and then we can cycle the Poplar for a draw. That makes sense here. The Droll isn't plays, but it does offer some more disruption. But it's going to start with the Chalice line. I'm going to use the Ash Blossom on it. So I have, as you can see, my pick of what to chain to this Chalice Slime. Well, not really the Droll here, but between Maxi and Ash Blossom. The reason I decided to use Ash Blossom, a couple of reasons. One, because I have 2 of it, so I'm definitely looking to get as much use out of both of them as possible. And the second reason is that, you know, if I Ash Blossom this, there is a chance it actually ends their turn. Like they don't have any more plays afterward. And even if they do, I can still just use Maxi later anyway. So I figured it was best just fire off the Ash Blossom here. Ash does resolve. Chalice Slime will get negated. Regeki's going to hit my Magician Souls and Link Rebo. But my opponent doesn't have any follow-up after that. So that ended up working out very, very well for me. Top decking Snake Eye Ash is exactly what I want to see here to go into another 1-card combo line, but the opponent is going to Ash Blossom, so once again, I am not going to be able to combo. I did Chain Link Karibo here, just, I don't know, for some reason I thought it was like imperm for a second. I was like, no wait, not imperm. Ash Blossom does quote-unquote follow to the grave. However, if that was imperm and not Ash Blossom, I would actually have had plays there, so. Once again, they're going to Chalice Slime, and I figured, you know what? Ash Blossom was enough to stop them last time. Let's see if it does it again. Again, if they do actually have follow-up plays, I can just chain Maxi, so it's not that big of a deal. And look at that, it was actually enough to stop them once again. I imagine they're a little annoyed by this. So here I'm going to normal summon Duel Unlock, activate the Where Arf Thou to add the Poplar, and then my opponent concedes. You know what? I will say, this was the one situation where Arf Thou did actually lead into plays where I wouldn't have had them anyway. So, I don't know. It's not like Where Arf Thou is like a bad card. I'm not saying the card is bad. I'm not trying to make that argument. But I wonder if I would have been able to Small World Bridge instead with the Droll. Maybe with the Jet Sync. No, because Jet Synchron's also fire is the only other problem. And Droll and Magician Souls don't bridge into each other. And I can't bridge into... No, I could bridge into Ash Blossom. Wait, because Ash and Droll only have 0 attack points in common, right? That's the only thing. Oh, but Ash Blossom is... No, but then, yeah, I could Ash Blossom to bridge into Ash or Poplar. Yeah, so I think Small World actually would have also unbricked me there. Because instead of Where Arf Thou, because instead of normal summoning the Droll, I could have activated Small World, revealed Droll, and I think I could have just bridged into Ash and then into either Snake Eye Ash or Poplar. Huh. Okay, so again, just thinking about possibly using Small World instead of Where Arf Thou, I'm starting to think that might actually be the way to go. But anyway, we have one more game to see. Let's go ahead and look at that before we end off here. And our final opponent is going to be on what I can only really call a water pile. I thought it was Ice Jade when I was actually playing against the deck, but looking at the list, it's definitely more of like just a general water pile, which is cool. I like pile decks. Alright, going first again here, going to normal summon the Snake Eye Ash to add our Poplar. We do have the original Sinful Spoils here, but no Magician Souls. So I don't know if I can actually use the original Sinful... Like, I know that Diabellstar plus Snake Eye Ash makes a unique board, but I still need to figure out if Snake Eye Ash plus Original Sin, like if you open both of those, like does that allow you to do anything like super crazy and unique? I need to sit down and lab that line now, because this is now the second game where I find myself just wondering this. I don't think opening Oak allowed me to do anything in particular. If it had been Birch, maybe, but Birch plus Original Sin would definitely have allowed me, in addition to Ash, of course, would have definitely allowed me to go into, like, additional plays. But that's a 3-card combo at that point. It's like, I don't like to plan for 3-card combos, because at that point, you kind of just have, it feels like you just have everything, right? If you're playing an average combo deck, so it's mostly 1- and 2-card combos that I like to focus on. Just more realistic. Plus, like, I don't like to plan for a 3-card line, because, again, at that point, that's so much gas that you just have plays almost no matter what anyway, again, for most decks. And also, it's, like, very specific, right, to open exactly 3 different cards, even if you play, like, 3 of each of them. So here they're going to start the Ice Jade, Ran, Adrenine. That's why I thought they were Ice Jades at first. I'm going to use the Temple and bring out my Snake Eyes Flamberge Dragon. I'm also going to use IP to link it with that dragon that I just summoned in order to summon Nightmare Unicorn. Basically, I want to get rid of... I'm going to end up getting rid of the level 7 tuner here. Had I known what they were going to do for follow-up plays, I would have gotten rid of the token instead. Because, spoiler alert, they're going to summon some more tuners, but, you know, I don't like trying to figure out what you could do with, you know, post-game knowledge, because that's like, you know, that's like assuming that at that point at the time when you were actually playing the game, you could see in the future and know for sure what they were doing. Yeah, here they dropped a Synchro Overtake, and I was like, alright, I have no idea what they're trying to summon here, but I'm just going to try to Ash it. They do have the Called By for it. Also, again, another reason why I do like playing the field spell is, like, it makes these follow-up level 1 monsters that you randomly summon during your opponent's turn. Like, again, actual threats that your opponent has to try to battle through, right? Like, our weakest monster on the board has 1,800 attack points, which, in the grand scheme of things, compared to a lot of boss monsters, is low, but, again, that's our weakest monster on the field. And yeah, I mean, our opponent, as you can see here, has just decided that they can't play through this board. Granted, it might have been the Duel, too, that helped solidify the end of that game there, but this deck just does have the ability to vomit a lot of monsters on the board, and, you know, again, even if you don't have the field spell and you're putting them in defense mode, if nothing else, they're chump blockers to eat attacks and make sure you don't lose that turn. But as you can see, again, when you have the field spell out, they become not just chump blockers, but actual, like, viable threats that your opponent has to try to push through, right? So, I like the field spell. It's not necessary for your combo line by any means, and even as part of your end board, it doesn't contribute, like, the most in the world, but it's the little things that count, I think. So, yeah, like I said, I really, really like this deck. I'm definitely going to be trying out more iterations of both pure Snake Eyes as well as some amount of Snake Eyes piles I'm interested in trying too. So that'll do it for this video. Thank you everybody for watching. Let's go ahead and move now to our outro. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of the video. That means a lot to me. It's also a great way to support the channel, so thank you very much in that way as well. If you're interested in supporting the channel in other ways, like the very special patrons that I am thanking here, you can do so by checking out some of the links in the description. One of those goes to the Patreon, where you can join these fine folk and support the channel that way. I do post daily content over on Patreon, so you do get something for supporting there. And if you're interested, I also have a coaching tier option as well. Details again will be on Patreon in the link below. Also in the description linked below is my Twitch page where I stream a few times a week. You can go ahead and check that out, follow or subscribe over there if you ever want to catch me live. You'll also find my second YouTube channel if you feel like subscribing over there to watch some of the Twitch VODs as well as some additional non-Yu-Gi-Oh related content that I make over there. Again, any of those links you want to check out is all a great way of supporting. But again, even if you don't do that, just watching was also a fantastic way to support. And once again, I have to thank you so very much. But in any case, this is Hexlex. I'm going to be signing out, and I'm hoping you have a fantastic day.